Welcome, all you villains out there, to Sonic the Hedgehog Bad Guys. It's issue 3, the penultimate issue, titled Trust Issues. And that cover really does give away what's going to happen at the end of this issue, but at the same time, you knew from the start it was going to come down to this. There's no trust amongst thieves, and that's especially true when the person orchestrating everyone, bringing them together, is untrustworthy to begin with. Let's jump in. As we open up with Dr. Starline accessing his journal for some reason, where he talks about, and because he's so boisterous, he's too far up his own butt to just like downplay everything. He has to keep a record of everything. So he talks about the fact that he's created this thing called the Tricore, which gives him various abilities: speed, power, flight. Those are the three basic power ups. But he also talks about the fact that he's given everyone else in his group single power cores, so they're only able to use one core at a time. So, of course, he kept the best little trinket for himself. He also ends up talking about the fact that he will be killing off all of his teammates. No loose ends, no witnesses. He feels that it's too dangerous to leave them alive. Only for Zavik to pop in and see Starline watching these recordings, agreeing that it's too dangerous to leave them roaming free. We come to find out that the person accessing these files is not in fact Starline, but Mimic, who was, of course, not trusting of Starline from the get-go. Zavik already knew, but it's interesting to see that Mimic was already not quite trusting of the good doctor. And he continues to access all of the files, especially the intel about the power core devices. As Zavik had figured out, and something that I had pointed out last issue, that Zavik accessed the power of the power core, right then and there. He knew from jump that it's just like, I can access this without any kind of form of equipment. What's the deal here? So he questions Mimic if the devices that Starline is creating are booby-trapped in any way. No, they're perfectly legit. Ultimately, because he wants the plan to go off without a hitch. He doesn't want even the slightest hiccup, so that he can make sure everything goes through well. Now, ultimately, he didn't booby trap anything because he didn't want to risk anything going wrong with their raid. He was all about the long term goals. And that's kind of become the running theme here. Whereas Eggman tends to be a little too short sighted. He doesn't think about the long term ramifications of things. Starline, on the other hand, he's always looking too far ahead to the future that he misses the finer details. And so it's an interesting contrast between the two of them. And Mimic, oh, he's all too ready to say, just take him out right then and there. And I gotta love Mimic for this, because it's just like, he's just looking for an excuse to shank somebody. Like, I've never seen a character just so stab happy. It's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna stab him. Just stab him and get it over with. And it's only because Zavik wants to make sure that they get the equipment, get everything that they need out of Starline, and then he can do the deed. And so they ride over with a little bit of comedy routine from Rough and Tumble, who are trying to come up with a new way of just doing their introductions, the usual things. And Zavik uses it to say, well, it's a sign of camaraderie. You've put together a great plan and a great crew here, Starline. So he's boistering Starline's ego. And I love Zavik here because he's playing in to Starline and his ego, giving him more of an inflated ego so that he continues to overlook any kind of like short-term ramifications, the nuances of everything going around him. And it is so masterful to see Zavik just playing Starline like this because honestly, with when it came to Lost World, you didn't get to see too much of Zavik being a tactical mastermind. Yet he was smart, he was kind of clever, but that didn't feel like it accounted for much because in the end, he was just a bruiser. But here, you're seeing the manipulation, you're seeing the tactical mind, you're seeing the workarounds, you're seeing him play Starline as he feels like he's playing everyone else. And it is so beautifully done. I love it. So he hands over the core gears to everyone. They're able to access one power at a time. Zavik and Tumble are given power types. Ruff is giving a speed type, and Mimic is giving a flight type. Well, Starline says, "Oh well, I'm not really suited to any form of physical combat, so it would be wasted on them." And I love this little exchange between Zavik and Mimic, where it's just like, "Can I kill him now?" And Zavik's just like, "Not yet. We haven't got everything that we want just yet. We're not completely in the clear." And I love the fact that Mimic is deferring to Zavik in this situation. There's at least some form of respect there because it's just like, yo, there you go. You're seeing the natural leadership of Zavik in this exchange. It's just like, it's so on point. It's so nuanced with just this faint glance, and it's just like boom, 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 you're done. It's just so well done. I cannot praise this enough. And so they use the power cores to power up. I love how just utterly devastating these characters become with this. Like they were powerful before, but with these power cores, they destroy this place. And it really just goes to show that's why characters in Sonic Heroes, when given access to the power cores, they're strong enough on their own. But with the power cores, boom, you level up once, you're even more formidable. You level up 3 times, you're unstoppable. And it really gives credence to why you need to level up in that game. But I also love the fact that a game mechanic has such an interesting application within the comic. It really just gives you such a form of context to how all of this works. Not to mention, I love the kind of teamwork we get to see here. Rough and tumble naturally, but you also get to see a little bit of that within Mimic and Zavik. They work well together. There's this weird sense that they really have each other's back in this situation. And so, as they manage to make it to the door, Starlight's just like, okay, let's finesse our way in. We don't want to destroy anything inside. There's sensitive equipment in there. So they, just very easily take on the advanced troops within the server room. Starline gets to the central computer terminal and starts accessing all of the files, and not to mention, well, not the files, the Eggnet in general, but he also sends a message to Eggman, sending him on a wild goose chase, basically. Sending information that another base is being attacked, as well as the whole commotion going on in this base is a result of Sonic as well. So that when Eggman receives the orders about everything and all the updates, Orbot does kind of notice there's a bit of an irregularity here. Something isn't quite right. But Eggman decides that while he will check in on everything in general, he's just gonna bomb the places, and be done with it. But he does still believe that it's Sonic in general, because why not? Why would he believe it's anyone else? So it's very clever planning. It's unbelievably well played. But as they start to go through things, it's just like, okay, we've got the base completely on lockdown. The defenses will be there to protect all of us, and everything's just really looking up for Starline. And that's the moment the shoe drops. You know, Mimic is just ready to gut Starline right here and now. And Starline, thinking that he's still in control, that he still has access to Zavik and his help, nope, you burned all those bridges. And at first, Rough and Tumble are ready to jump in and be like, whoa, whoa, I thought we were working together. What happened? But as soon as Zavik's just like, yeah, the doctor was using us and he was going to get rid of us as soon as we were done. And it's just like, oh, well, screw you then. Like, screw you, buddy. Like, okay, yeah, no, let's beat the shit out of him. So it's just like, it just really does pinpoint. Yeah, it was short sighted because what were you going to do once all of this came into play? Like, Starline at no point thought this was a possibility, and that was the biggest problem. He was so focused on the end goal, he never saw that there was a little bit of resentment towards him bubbling up, or that it was even just there in general. But he tries to, buy some time, saying, you still need me, you have all these things that you wanted from me. So as he is forced by Mimic to erase him from Eggman's database, and Zavik has him issue all control over all badniks towards him, so that Zavik can take over some of Eggman's territory. While Starline is doing this, he's slowly trying to reach for his Tricore so that he can hold them off. And as all of them get what they want, Mimic is given his freedom, Zavik is given his chunk out of Eggman's empire, and with the power cores, Rough and Tumble can wreak as much havoc as they want, especially the surplus that they have back at Starline's base. And that means Starline has outlived its usefulness. They're free to take out their vengeance upon him. And I love this cliffhanger. It really does go to show, because I was questioning why we just couldn't be shown that it was Starline in the main book. There's clues, but you don't know, it's not really made obvious. But they wanted to maintain the mystery of whether or not he survived this encounter. It's pretty obvious they wouldn't just end most of these characters right here and now, but there's always the possibility, because honestly, when it comes to the comic book characters, their lives aren't assured. They could kill off Starline and it could be a robotic duplicate for all we know. Honestly, the only person who is pretty much guaranteed to survive this book is Zavik, because he's a game character. That's it. Ultimately, and there's always the potential that Sega says, oh, we don't want Zavik in the book anymore. Kill him off. We don't want to use that character anymore. There's always that potential, because Sega is kind of fickle when it comes to what they want from their game characters in this book. So it really does tend to be up in the air, especially with such a character like Zavik, who isn't that greatly regarded within the Sonic community. It it's masterfully played in a well done way that really just shows that Ian really just knows how to work these characters in fun, interesting ways that still keep in line for what Sega might want to do or might not want to do. Sega has been very hands-on in terms of uh, this whole book and what they want them to do, what they don't want them to do. And there have been decisions that have come from Sega that make you question. And the fact that they even put Tangle and Whisper in, it was a mobile game, but they put them in one of the games in general, making them game characters. So Sega could always just be like, oh, don't kill off this character. We might want to use them. So there's that added benefit. So it leaves things ambiguous, but enough politics and whatnot. A great issue, wonderfully done. Zavik becoming my favorite character, and like, leave it to Ian to actually make a character who's never been that interesting to be wildly interesting. It's just So well done, and I'm loving it. But tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you feel that Starline will end up suffering some damage, that he won't get out unscathed? Do you feel that that shadowy hooded figure in the main book is actually maybe a robotic duplicate, or maybe even Mimic himself? You never know. Or do you feel that ultimately it might be one of Starline's allies, quote unquote, who end up kind of biting the big one? What do you think happens next? I'm interested to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this video, leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike. Subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you never miss out on other Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Hedgehog Bad Guys issue review. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye bye.